I had the great privilege and pleasure of traveling to Israel, and I traveled with my sister and with 4 dear friends, and 2 of my friends, Vicky and Charlie, husband and wife, are expert travelers, and Charlie is as good as a travel guide as you could get. So they had a very challenging itinerary for us, packing in everything that we could do in the time that we were there. As we were traveling in the desert, we came across a scene right out of the movies. This would have got an Oscar nomination for what we were witnessing, because there was a minister up on the lip of a valley, and he's facing his tour group, and there are about 30 people around him, and he has the Bible in his hands, and he's reading the Psalm 123, and just bellowing it. And he says, "The Lord refreshes my soul. He gives me the right paths for his name's sake. Even though I walk in the dark valley, I will fear no evil, for you are at my side. And now people follow me into the dark valley." And Charlie turns to me and says, "I'm glad I'm not on that tour." My friends, we have a Lord who leads us into the light, and he is a good shepherd. And it's hard for us who aren't farmers, don't raise sheep, to understand the great intimacy and intricacies that we heard in our reading today. And that is God's deep love for us, calling each of us by name, that he is a good shepherd who loves his sheep, who calls us each by name, and who lays down his life for his sheep. Now, in Jesus' day, when the shepherd was traveling with the sheep, at night he would corral them into a circle of love so they could be protected with each other, and he would put up a fence-like structure around the sheep, and he would lay his body down, literally, at the gate of the corral for 2 reasons. One is to protect and to care for all of his sheep, to keep them close. And the other reason was to stop marauders, wolves primarily, from coming in and devouring the sheep. So when he literally laid down, put his life on the line for his sheep. And so when the people in Jesus' day heard these images, they immediately would think of a very intimate and loving and good shepherd. And as we heard it said so explicitly in the gospel, Jesus came completely out of love. And as we heard, you can tell the difference between a shepherd who loves his sheep and a shepherd who's in it just for the bucks. There's a beautiful reflection on Psalm 123 that I'd like to offer for us today, because it really does capture the fact that we are in a deep relationship with God. And when we call God the Father and Jesus the Good Shepherds, it has great implications for our life. So this is a reflection called "My Good Shepherd" by Bernard Powers, and he takes each phrase in Psalm 123 and reflects on them. "The Lord is my shepherd, so wonderful and great, so charming and challenging, so mysterious yet revealing. I shall not want for someone to love, for someone to love me, for one who understands, for one willing to accept, for one to listen to my needs, for one to pick me up from my falls. In verdant pastures, in opportunities to talk, in time to myself, whether peaceful or angry, whether confused or clear thinking, whether crying or joyful. He gives me repose and freedom and acceptance and reassurance and forgiveness and encouragement. Beside restful waters, to the Blessed Sacrament, to the presence of friends, to a period of silence, to a day of leisure, He leads me powerfully as I follow reluctantly, carefully as I follow peacefully, kindly as I follow with humility. He refreshes my soul with new life, new energy, with cleared vision and hope restored. He guides me in right paths. Gently He guides, with tenderness. Knowingly He guides, and with wisdom. For His name's sake, for His holiness, for His honor, for His glory. Even though I walk in the dark valley, or listen to the depth of silence, or hear a word demanding faith, or step forth into the unknown, or know the fall of myself, I fear no evil. Beyond the unknown there is mystery. Beyond the faith there is a person. Beyond the silence there is God. For you are at my side, God of mercy and God of peace, God of goodness and God of love, God of compassion and God of forgiveness. With your rod and staff that give me courage, courage to talk and to listen, courage to hear and to step forth, courage to accept forgiveness. You set the table before me, bread that is the food of life, word that nourishes the soul, sacred body in the Eucharist, precious blood refreshing, purifying, your act of forgiveness bringing reconciliation. In the sight of my foes you set a table, dispelling the darkness, alleviating the fears, healing the wounds, destroying the fatigue, lifting the burden, forgiving the fall. You anoint my head with oil, and there is a gift of the prophet, the power of a king, the dignity of a priest. There is baptism renewed. My cup overflows with faith in your word, with hope in your life, with love in your presence, union with the divine. Only goodness and kindness follow me. Reach out to me and touch me, enter my being and transform me. All the days of my life, this day healing the hurts of yesterday, this day forgiving the faults of today, this day protecting from the dangers of tomorrow, all days time made present. And I shall dwell in the house of the Lord, knowing His love and experiencing His goodness, asking for help and sensing my dignity for years to come, this year and next, this year and all time. For the Lord is my shepherd, and He lifts me into His love. My friends, today we give thanks and praise to our good shepherd, He who loves you beyond all telling. May God bless you.
Amen.